I'm early. I'm also Abby Haggard, and I'm also going to see if I can manage this thing here. I know it looks like a big deal has just happened because a big deal, for me has just happened. I keep explaining this because I keep looking away from you. So, from what I'm looking at on my computer screen, it's us. And then to my right, at the bottom, at the very bottom, I can type something that the comments come up. So to type something in to say good morning and to welcome you, I have to look away from this to look over here and make sure I get it right and then click and so on. And sometimes I do, and sometimes random. Anyway, here we are, and it is Thursday, and I'm a little bit early. It's 9:59. I jumped on at 9:58, just because I was really keen. I have such cool things to talk about with you today, and I didn't want to miss a minute. So here we are. Um, just as we begin, for those of you who are just joining, for I wanted to share with you um, some interesting backstory on this. I've spoken before about the fact that I'm working on this Pivotry project. I have this whole concept in mind to turn into a kind of an interactive playground. Really, I don't want to grow up and be one of those grumpy old people who starts lecturing about all the things I learned in my life. Um, I uh, just do that. Uh, there we make that go away. Sorry. Um, what I want to do as I've returned to Ottawa, having been away for quite a long time, is I want to kind of reinvent how we are doing all these things together, what we are achieving together, um, and how that's working and what it means, because everything changes. And sometimes the change is really small, really quiet, really unremarkable. And other times it's like a gigantic gong or splat or thud. And as I've come back, having been away from Ottawa full time for almost 15 years, um, I'm seeing a lot of these larger changes in different ways than the people who stayed here the whole time. And I was at an event yesterday, a beautiful, beautiful celebration of just an amazingly talented guy who we lost. And I saw these people. I saw these people I haven't seen in forever, and it was wonderful. It was a sad, but it was a beautiful tribute to him. And we were all hugging each other. It was like this enormous family reunion, on so many levels. And at the same time, and by the way, what this group represented, this was the people who worked at the television station where we created You Can't Do That on Television. So a lot of the people there were part of the crew. A lot of them were part of every other brilliant thing that was achieved, accomplished, pioneered at that station. We really were the jewel in the crown, and all of us so proud to be part of that. And this lovely guy that we lost, he was a character. He was mischievous and so talented. He really single-handedly did incredible things in live broadcast and in studio stuff. And it was a real joy to know him. And so there we all were. And because I hadn't seen so many of these people in such a long time, um, it was a it was a moment, because so much has changed, and we all know that change is happening. We're all aware of it. But if you don't see it gradually morphing, gradually the tree getting a little taller every year, the kids growing, different plants outside the house, and you don't see these incremental things, and you suddenly come back and say, what happened? Wow. Where, who, what? And then periodically in the midst of all of that sudden resetting, there would be a familiar moment. And one of the best things, right inside the visitation room, there was a big screen, and they were rotating pictures of this lovely man. And one of the pictures was him in the doorway of the remote vehicle. And it had, the CTV logo on the side, and it was brilliantly bright and sharp and clear. And he was as big as life. And it was so sudden and surprising and familiar at the same time. I had this overwhelming that I had just missed him in the parking lot, that I was looking at the parking lot because it was so clear and it was right there. And I'd just come in the door, and I felt I must have just turned left instead of right. And if I went fast enough, maybe I'd catch him before he drove out of sight. It was this odd kind of, what am I looking at? And I was standing beside one of our great guys from the show, one of our crew. And I said, are you getting this feeling too? And he said, yeah, I am. And I was looking around, and some of us look a little faded, and some of us look a little tired, and some of us look taller and shorter and older, and many of us look wiser. And he had not changed. So memory is our anchor. And I think the reason it's making me cry, of course, is Dave. That's okay. Give me a sec. I know, coffee, that'll fix it. Whew. Sorry about that. Memory is a good thing. All our boats need anchors. All of us need rudders and anchors so that we are not victims of the whims of the times and the tides. The thing is that an anchor can also hold us back. An anchor can also keep us stuck in a place. Can we go back to 1995 now? 1985 now? Jeffrey, I go back to 1985 every 15 minutes. Have you not seen over my shoulder? 1985 is alive and well in this room. So what we do with our memories is a couple of things. And I believe both are beautiful and essential and important because they are part of the fabric. They're part of what we are. However, here's where it's not helpful. Where it's not helpful is when we hang on because we're reluctant to live now, to step fully in to the current shoes, to test the water today, and to hoist the sail and see what's there, what we get to do that's new. And the temptation, the thing that I said in the little blurb before, is that there is a shift that happens, and quite often we don't consciously make it. It kind of feels like the decision makes itself, because one minute we're solidly here, and the next minute we're not. We've done something. Something has cataclysmically shifted, and what I was saying this morning is it's when reluctance loses the popular vote. And the element of surprise when that happens is part of why we dig our heels in. We hang on to same old because it's familiar. We know where to park. We know what it's going to taste like. We know how it's going to fit. And we don't have to worry about that. At least we don't have to worry about that, people are saying. At least I know this. The trouble is that we don't learn anything new. So when reluctance and resistance lose out in the popular vote to curiosity to me is the presenting symptom of readiness. When we are saying, "Oh, what's over there? Oh, what's that?" We're ready. We've handled and we're ready. We think. I'm going to give us the benefit of we think. And it was interesting. I was having a great exchange with a very wise woman I met a few times when she was still in Ottawa. Her name is Lisa Larder, and she was a very successful businesswoman, and she has become a very insightful and very positive influence on other business people who come to her for their strategic advice. And she has developed a very positive and powerful way of, well, good morning, Freddie. So nice to see you. How are you? Um, she's developed a very, very positive and powerful way to gather people in collected shared thought. And what she does is she will go to an event, um, and she will arrange, either with people who are going or the minute she gets there, bumping into people, to get together after this current moment, to find some place to get together, to um, debrief, to digest, to reflect, to share common thoughts, the takeaways. And what's beautiful about that is that she's constantly building these aggregating groups of mastermind, um, like-minded people who want to grow through leveraging each other's concepts. So she posted something very interesting yesterday, and I really liked it a lot. And what she said was, "Be brave. Do one thing. Do one thing today, and celebrate the bravery that you are doing this one thing." And I loved it, and I loved the responses she was getting from people who are so overwhelmed by people who saying you got to do more to this, to that, to the other, and it can be overwhelming for people who are just kind of hanging on by the skin of their teeth. And so what she was saying, you don't have to have credentials, you don't have to have a track record, you don't have to have this, you don't have to have that, you don't have to have a new something or an accredited something else. Just do one thing. Be brave. Take that breath. And so when I replied to her, I told her that I loved it. And I said, I want to contribute to this conversation. I want to be part of this conversation. And my contribution is this. Sometimes for me, the bravest thing that I do is I look at something that is no longer helping, no longer serving, and I say to it, not today. The thing that has become my habit, the thing that has become my my go-to, that is keeping me anchored, keeping me stuck. When I have the confidence and the decision in my head that I choose no to you today, I choose yes to something different. And so do one thing every day that scares you. Well, yes, do one thing every day that scares you. I think Jeffrey, that it's a great it's a great rallying cry. What I think is that it's a rallying cry for people who kind of like to be scared, people who like to go on the roller coaster, people who are excited by, yeah, oh my, and there are so many people right now who might have been that, and they're not right now. And part of the reason they're reluctant is because they miss the old them. And in some cases, they're beating themselves up for no longer being the old man, the old them, or at least giving up on the old them for now. And what I'm trying to say, and what I'm encouraging and talking about, is it doesn't have to be scary. You just have to be ready to say, what's that? And it's not that you can force yourself to be there. Curiosity marches to its own drum. It comes when it comes. You cannot tell yourself you're curious. It must arrive. When it arrives, the brave thing, the scary thing, is to go with it to resist the urge to talk ourselves out of it. That's the brave thing. That's the good thing, the exciting thing. And for the people who are just barely getting by, it is actually the safe thing. And right after I take another sip of coffee, I'll tell you why. It's not the caffeine so much as the warmth on the throat. The reason it's the safe thing, the reason it's the wise thing to do, is because everything changes. And if we resist change, we are no longer with the herd. We are vulnerable. We are holding back. And as we don't change and grow, the opposite happens. So the safe thing, the wise thing, the brave thing is to say, if I'm curious, I'm willing to take the first step. May not take the second one today, but I will take this first one. And that is the beginning of everything. So what I wanted to talk about, having done that lengthy intro, what I want to talk, visiting Seattle from Minneapolis, and so far, I've gone up the Space Needle, I'm terrified of heights, and fought off a homeless guy that attacked. It takes a brave soul to be a Viking, Jeffrey. Welcome to the tribe. Welcome to the club. Hey, what's over there? Somebody attacking. And attacked my wife. Oh my God. Have you started Diamond Club yet? Freddie, no, I haven't. We had a small setback. However, it's not a bad setback. It's a good setback. And I will let you know absolutely for sure how it's going to unfold. I promise you. And I will tell everyone as well. So, this guy attacked my wife. You know, here's the thing. Everybody's a critic. What is wrong with people? If you can't think of something nice to say, keep it to yourself. Oh, this guy attacked my wife. So, the conversation today is about change. And it's just so wonderful to see. Oh, it has to scroll up, Jeffrey. I know you're typing it, but it comes up. Technology is our friend, just on a different level entirely. So, and oh gosh, and speaking of technology as our friend, yesterday, Carol Hay and I went to have lunch before we went to this event to celebrate this amazing guy. And she took my picture because she's incredible. And I said, oh, here, let me take yours. And she handed me her phone. And I took these pictures and she's all smiling and wonderful, holding a glass of wine. She sends me this morning 3 pictures. And they're all of the palm of my hand. Oh, God. Her caption is, you have many talents. My reply was, this isn't one of them. It's so embarrassing. Oh, God. How long have you been in the television industry that has cameras involved in it? In my defense, I was always on the other side of the camera. Oh, God. I'm so glad we didn't know that when we got to the event. We would have had to tell everybody. It's just so wonderful to see your face and hear your voice. Jeffrey, what a lovely thing to say. Thank you so much. I'm very pleased that I'm still around to have a face and a voice, I'll tell you that. So this business of change. The first thing is forgiveness. The first thing is to give ourselves permission to feel reluctant, because it is strange new ground. It is new territory. Like Jeffrey, he has an issue with heights. He went up in the Space Needle. I would not go up in the Space Needle. I would wave to you from the ground and fight off the homeless guy before he got to your wife. That would be me down there. So good on you for doing that. Um, why change bugs us, scares us? Uh, I think part of it in the reluctance, and I'm not talking about the we don't want to resist. We want to resist because we're reluctant. I'm not. We don't want to feel stupid. We don't want to look. We don't want to feel inept. We don't want to invest a lot of time navigating a learning curve. When familiar is easy, we always know we can just do it. We're on autopilot, park the car, there we go. Nothing that is, going to demand an investment of any kind. That I think is a big, big hurdle that we have to overcome. And I think curiosity is enough of an uprooting that it galvanizes us. Yesterday, when I was talking to one of the fellows at the celebration, he said, "Oh, you probably don't remember me. I was upstairs on the second floor in marketing, and you came up and voiced our commercials." And I said, how wonderful is that? There's all these people that I was working with on one series, and then there was the people from the kids show, and quite often those crews overlapped. And then there were the other things that I did, the morning show, and the magazine talk shows, and then the commercials, right? And he said, you had your fingers in a lot of pies. And I said, I did. And I said, the crazy thing about it is, when I look around and I see the closeness of so many people here, it's because so many of them were on staff, right? And I said, it's funny. I feel like uh, the gypsy of the gypsies. I feel like the person who was even more in rotation, away and home, than all these gypsies in the room. Our camera and light and sound crew, our news crew, were award-winning in the day. They were sent to the Olympics. They represented the network there on foreign soil. I mean, we have a lot to be proud of about the people that I had the great fortune to work with, and seeing them there, and seeing how close they were, and how I was an outlier in so many ways. And when I said this to this fellow, that I was the gypsy of the gypsies, and he said, "What an interesting way to put it." And I said, "Well, I'm a military kid, so everything for me has been a drop in, step back, move along, drop in, step back, move along." And I just had such incredible good fortune to be in Ottawa at this incredibly thriving creative time, to step in so many times on so many great, great productions. And he said, I wasn't aware of that. And, in marketing, it was always a kind of a rotation. So there we are, out of nowhere, having this conversation about what change looked like to us, and how we saw temporary, what that meant to two people involved in the same industry, at the same station, at the same time, having completely different experiences of the transitory transition, temporariness, the ebb and flow of popularity that is the lifeblood of the entertainment industry. And here we were, the soldiers, just different soldiers wearing different uniforms, performing different tasks. Very, very interesting. And it was a split-second conversation. And then I was talking with one of the fellows who was part of the shooting crew. There's a great blooper uh, in the episode on identities, when I was playing the Statue of Liberty. Mom was the Statue of Liberty, and I made a horrific mistake and blew the scene. And I'm pretty sure the fellow I was talking to yesterday, was the one in the boom truck, and everybody was laughing at my mistake. And you could see camera tilted out of focus, away from me, and it caught the shadow of the boom truck rocking, because whoever was up there was laughing. I have a feeling it was him. I should have asked. So all of these amazing moments and memories of different things in our lives. This is the hidden present. We don't get these special memories if we don't change and grow. You think about that. We don't get to have these new moments if we're not willing to attempt them. And we don't have these hysterical stories, these brilliant stories, these tear-worthy stories to share if we don't say, alrighty then, let's do it. It requires one to have the other. Freddie, it takes a lot of courage to leave the familiar behind. Yes, it does. And let's talk about you getting on that bus coming all the way up to Ottawa for SlamCon. Talk about leaving the familiar behind. Talk about being very brave and courageous. That is extraordinary, Freddie. Incredible. Didn't know anybody. Didn't have any firm plan. Knew you were going to come to SlamCon. Found a bus, bought a ticket, came all that way by yourself. Wow. That's amazing. This is an act of bravery, by all means. However, the curiosity and the excitement outweighed the, oh, I don't know about that, right? So what I really want to talk about, now that I've blathered on for half an hour, I want to talk about, what is this? You look amazing. I love the absolute crap out of you. Well, Jeffrey, thank you. What a lovely thing to say. Promise me you'll never get glasses. Next time you decide to take a crazy trip, you should come to Ottawa. And I will make sure nobody of any shape or form attacks you or your wife. How about that? That's my promise to you. I've just entertained people from San Diego and the Deep South. There's no reason I can't welcome you to our fair city. No reason at all. So there are stages in change. And what I want to do today is I want to talk about the steps and the stages, because when we talk about that, it's not so much about change as an unknown, unfamiliar, oh gosh, here we go, fingers crossed. It becomes something really familiar that feels very, very safe. And that is how we take that deep breath to step into change. We are curious, we are ready, and when we take that breath, we say, okay. We don't step saying, oh God. We say, okay, let's try this. So the first step, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 4 steps, 4 in change. And just before I explain what they are, the reason I want to talk about them is that the way the subconscious brain learns something new is by simple, repeatable habit. Simple, repeatable action. Cause, effect. This, that. It is the most primitive part of our brain. It existed when we climbed out of the ooze. We can teach it how to drive a car on the highway. So if that's not plasticity, if that's not readiness to take on new, I don't know what the definition is. So that we can, and by the way, it doesn't understand that it's driving a car. It has learned simple, repeatable tasks, right? Sit, hold, steer, connect with where we want to be, which is not in the trees, but on this flat thing. And then what we do with our feet. That's it. If something unexpected happens, the subconscious brain hands the controls back to the conscious brain that says, thanks, shit, and takes care of it. That's how we know we weren't here, is the sudden surprise we feel when all of a sudden, dear, what? Because the subconscious brain saw it, didn't know what it was. So it said to the conscious brain, here, you deal with it. That's what's going on. So that the subconscious brain needs simple steps. And I know the simple steps. And I share them with you. And they are familiar because we have all done them a gazillion times, and you look at them and you say, oh, well, that's not threatening at all. No, it isn't. And if we can focus on the non-threatening part, change just becomes an everyday process. And the one we choose, happily, is the moment when we are driving the bus, as opposed to us being passengers on the road to change. Very different, kind of exciting. Okay, here we go. Step one is release. You can't step forward if you don't let go of the thing that you're hanging on to keep you steady, to keep you here. We can't set sail unless we pull the anchor out of the soil, out of the sand, out of the waterbed. We must weigh anchor, pull it up. We must release our hold on what was. We have to be willing to let it go. Not necessarily forever, but certainly for this moment. We have to say, as Jeffrey did, I am prepared to go up inside the Space Needle. I will not be rappelling down the outside of the Space Needle. Am I right, Jeffrey? Did you just pass out from thinking about that for a second? I'm terribly sorry. So, step one, release. As I was saying to Lisa Larder, I prepare myself to say yes to something by saying not today to something holding me there, holding me, anchoring me in place, giving me permission not to grow. I say not today. That is the release. Ta-da. Okay. Now, step number two is actually something we don't do immediately, because there is an interim step in between each of these four things. Okay. And I want you to picture running. Okay. When you're running, you have one foot and the other foot. So the lead foot, let's call the lead foot, whichever foot you lead with, let's call the lead foot giving us each of the four steps. Okay. The off foot, the back foot that follows, gives us balance. Because if we were just using the lead foot, we would be hopping. It's okay, but so fresh step, balance. Why balance? To give us the energy to take the next fresh step. Okay. Step one, release. Other foot, we're going to call it rest. Rest? But I'm on my way. Yes, you are. This is a mental rest. This is not a physical rest. This is not a let's go have a nap. I decided to let go. Now I'm tired. No, this is breathe, release. How do I feel about it? How do I feel about the release? Am I okay? Yeah, I am. Okay then. Okay then. All right. Release is not scary. Okay. I'm going to take another breath. Yeah. Okay. Another sip of coffee. Okay. Release is good. All right. What's next? Reset. What do I mean by reset? I mean, we have a compass. We have a GPS. We have a set of plans. We have a way of looking at things. We have decisions that we typically make, and they are based on a backstory. And whatever that backstory is, has basically been the narrative thread that plays on a loop tape in our head. You'll never amount to anything You're just like your uncle. You'll never amount to anything. Your uncle always started things and then quit. You're just like your uncle. You'll never amount to anything. That's the loop tape. How do we reset the loop tape? Well, shut it off. How do we reset the loop tape? Put in a different tape. What's the different tape? I don't look anything like my uncle. I'm adorable. And by the way, what is wrong with somebody who keeps telling somebody like me, I'm just like somebody else? Clearly, there's a flaw there. The question we never ask is the story true? Is the story accurate? Where did they get the story? Why did they tell it to us? Did we actually hear it properly? Are we remembering it differently than it truly was? I had an interesting thing happen in the middle of yesterday. I saw somebody that I'd had words with quite a few years ago, and I missed them. I didn't realize they were coming in, and I was leaving, and I had, I was down the hall leaving, and somebody said, "Oh, you just missed so and so," and I said, "Oh, really? Huh?" And I was only in there for a short while, and I couldn't stay, and it didn't even occur to me that I should turn around and go back and say, "Hey, I'm sorry I missed you," because there was no reason to. There wasn't anything unfinished as far as I was concerned. We'd had words, but oh my God, it was, a decade ago. And I'll see her another time. Ottawa's not that big a place. But afterwards, I thought, isn't that interesting? I released whatever that was, and I was already on my way someplace else. I had reset everything, and I was on my way someplace else. So it was just a couple of ships. We weren't even passing in the night. They over there, and I was over here. So when we reset and we truly say, I am curious, I am ready to see what happens now, then the reset is already underway. What's so important to give ourselves permission to understand here about the reset, all the motivational people that you see, all of the books you read, all of the posts that you pick up on, all the little short form videos that you click on a couple of times, they're never talking about the reset. They're never talking about what it takes to create that reset possibility and how we reset. They bypass it. They're in a hurry to get to go, do more, be more. And for those of us who have been overwhelmed, those of us who have been through a living nightmare, and the biggest things we've done in the past year are find a way to lie face down on the kitchen floor because the tiles are nice and cool and calming and safe. For people like that, for people like where I have been for quite a few successive months, do more, be more. I would gather all my strength to punch them, to say, stop that, go away. You're insulting, you're annoying, you're intimidating, you're tone deaf. Think before you cheer somebody who just needs a hug. Think. Because they're not talking about thinking. They're talking about doing and achieving and reaching. All of which are great, but you can't do them if you don't think about it first, really, because these things aren't on a button. So rest is essential to get back the strength we used to release. It's huge. Once we've rested and we're ready to reset, it's exciting because we're ready again. We were ready to release. We took a breath. We're ready to reset. What is this process I'm talking about in reset? It is understanding that we have been here before. We have reset 1,000,000 times every day. It is one of our greatest gifts, our best skills, and our proudest moments. And the reason we are unsure about this is because we have learned how to reset long before we learn to speak. It is something we automatically do as a survival tactic. We blend. we merge. We become still when we see around us the need to do those things. It's called mirroring. We see it works, we do it, we imitate it, we copy it. Once we've imitated it and copied it, we add our own touches that make it our own. It has become our reset. It has become our ability, like a chameleon, to adapt to what's around us. Reset helps you to move on. Absolutely, Kelly. Absolutely. It's like you get in the car, walk out of the house, get in the car, slam, put on the seatbelt, click, turn on the engine. Good. Where are we going? What? Where are we going? I don't know. I thought you knew. No, I thought you knew. Okay. So here we are in the car. We can't go anywhere. Even though we have the car, it's full of fuel, we know how to drive. We can't go anywhere because why? Because we haven't decided where we're going. Reset is this part. So car, me, fuel, partner. Oh yeah. So motivational people. Do more. Okay. How? You want to show me how? So the reset process is this. Remember that we know how to do it. Remember that we've done it. Look at what is going on in this moment and ask ourselves how we feel about this. And then just focus on that feeling, not the feeling now, just the feeling. Are we excited? Okay, when was the last time we were excited? What was the last thing that excited us? And the brain will say, how about that? Now you know what to do. You just do what you did before. Were you anxious? Yeah. Okay. Do you remember the last time you were anxious? Yeah. How'd you feel? What was going on? You remember it. Okay. Now you know what to do because you did it before. We don't remember things by events. We remember things by feelings. When you attach a feeling and you know the feeling and you say, when was the last time I felt this way? What was I doing the last time? Oh my God, it was that. Good. Now you remember what you did. You remember where your headspace was. Just do that again. Only in blue. Only not in a boat. Here we are on a ladder. But just do that thing. And you know what happens? We are brilliant at it. We are so brilliant at it. So there's the reset. We know the headspace we need to be in. We remember the last time we were in it based on how we felt. So we pick it again, apply it now to what we're thinking. And then what do we do? Reset, rest. Okay. Okay, I know what to do. Oh my God, I know what to do. Okay. Take the step. Take the step. Okay, I'm taking the step. What is the next thing we do? Reward. The first thing you do, reward. Stop. You've done it. Take that split second and say, there you go. Who loves you, baby? Just give yourself that small, tiny, infinitesimal Hoorah! Because by golly, you proved yourself right. You did it. You took that step. You released, you rest. You reset, get the right headspace, rest. Take it, reward. After the reward, pony, rest. Rest. Just for a second. Just say, oh God, that's incredible. Final step, repeat. Repeat. That's it. What am I repeating? All of it. You repeat the very first thing. Because you can't stand on your laurels. You can't say, look at that, I took a step. Good, do it again. Don't hang on to that step as the last place God made. Release. Why? We're not there yet. Release. Okay, okay, all right, okay. Rest. Okay, yeah. Reset. What do I need to do in this next piece? Find that part of me that did it before. Remember it through the associated feeling. You got it? Good. Do it. What happens? It's working. Reward. Wow. What's next? Rest. Okay. And repeat. The Anatomy of Change by Abby Haggard. By Abby Mom. The Anatomy of Change in 4 basic steps. And it works. You want to ask me how I know? Well, let's see. See that dress behind me there? Yeah. Am I wearing it? Do I look like that? No. This is the anatomy of change. Pivotry in motion is the anatomy of change. Pivotry in motion is the first law of attraction in action. The first law of attraction is pivotry. And the longer you think about it, the more you realize it's true. The law of attraction is to choose who we are, what we want, why we want it, how, where, and when. And tap into the part of us that has done it before so we can do it again. That's pivotry. It's the first law of attraction. Isn't that cool? I'm over the moon with that. So what I want to talk about a little bit more today, in addition to this, now you understand the anatomy of change. You understand that from here and also here and every other part of you, that, yes, Kelly's saying, when you're in the right mindset, you can draw to you the exact right thing. You don't have to chase it, and you can't receive it while you're clinging to what was. You have to be in cherish gear. Cling is the past. Chase is the future. If we are going to succeed and thrive, we have to live in the moment, and in the moment is where we cherish what we are, what we do, what we have, what we feel, what we think. This is the first law of attraction. It's so easy for us to do, and we do it so well and always have. It's incredibly easy to overlook, to dismiss. And the fact that I know this is not, it doesn't make me, special, different, smarter, wiser, taller. I'm a military kid. It's how I survived. I got into show business, which of course is an act of, uh, what is the least secure thing I could possibly do? Oh, there, let's go into show business. And so, but I took all of the skills with me from military childhood into show business. And as I discussed yesterday with a couple of the fellows, I was the gypsy among the gypsies, here and gone and back again, and crossing paths with the caravan along the way. And what I know to be true is that the more we practice this, the more we are aware, the more we realize the power of this ability we have, the more confidence it gives us. Because we may be uncertain right now. We may be exhausted right now. Something may have overwhelmed us right now. Okay, fair enough. What do? Rest. For how long? Until a little voice says, what if? That's curiosity waking up. Means we're on the brink of ready. It is how we have achieved so much when we are these puny little creatures on a planet full of very strong, incredible creatures. We have managed to carve a path. How come? So the 4 steps to change are familiar. The 4 steps to change are not in any way formidable. They are simple. The key, the grease between those 4 wheels, those footsteps, is the rest. We must rest between each one to restore. And the analogy I use all the time, is when you stand on a beach and you watch the waves. And we're not talking about tail end of a hurricane. We're not talking about Tornado Alley or anything like that. We're just watching the waves. And they're lovely. And they come in and they break, poof, and they hit the beach. And when they hit the beach, the immediate thing they do is recede. Right? Here it comes, build, crest, poof. And away it goes. There's no pause. It's a constant flow. Build, crest, poof. When we stand there and watch that, and we just are mesmerized, captivated, just restored by the smell, by the motion, by the eternalness of it. When the wave hits the beach, poof, and recedes, do we stand there saying bravo, or do we yell quitter? Do we shout into a receding wave, coward? Or do we just bask in the magnificence of that eternal cyclical motion of energy, release, rest, restore? Because if we don't shout quitter, if we don't shout coward into the wind, into those receding waves, if instead we say bravo and oh my gosh, isn't it beautiful, then why are we putting ourselves down when we need to rest? Why are we preventing us from doing the natural, logical restoration in order to return? What are we doing? What are we thinking? And the answer is not the right stuff. We are as the waves. And the waves are in constant change. They are in constant motion. They are in constant change. So are we. Pivotry. It's not Pivotry. It's Pivotry in motion, because that is who we constantly are. So we all know these things. I have not said anything today that you did not know. Every single thing I've said is exactly what is going in your head, going, yeah, 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 I'm an idiot. I'm an idiot. No, you know what? I did pretty well. It's resonating all over the place. I'm getting the comments. I'm getting the feedback. I'm getting, from people who are saying, love this one today. Amazing. Thank you. And oh my God, you made me laugh. Good. That's the whole point. On You Can't Do That on Television, we had a wonderful segment called The Opposites. And the opposite sketches were normal turned on its head. Right was wrong, wrong was right. Kids doing bad things got rewarded, that kind of thing. And the kids loved it. We loved it. We loved doing it. It was crazy. And preceding the opposites, there was always a moment on the link set with a couple of the kids doing something and having trouble understanding why things were upside down. And one kid would say, okay, either this is this, or, and then everybody would say in union, this is just the introduction to the opposites. And then we would segue into the sketches that were the opposites. So with that in mind, with introduction to the opposites in mind, I hope that those of you who watch the show and love the show, and if you didn't watch the show and you haven't yet had a chance to love the show, you can go on YouTube. And on the YouTube search bar, you type, You Can't Do That on Television. If you add the word mom, what you get are episodes. You get scenes. You get sketches. You get to watch this thing till the end of time. I get to look like that till the end of time. So just a moment there, just a moment. So what I want you to think of when you see Pivotry in motion, when you see the phrase Pivotry in motion, when you see that I'm doing one of these videos, when you watch these videos, if I'm showing you the different products and the different things that I'm doing to build Pivotry in motion as a concept, as a set of coping mechanisms and learning tools and success models for you, and I'm building the way these things are going to be presented live and virtually, I want you to think to yourself, these videos, these conversations, this lead up to the launch of Pivotry in motion, all of this is the introduction to my opposites. The introduction to my opposites being what? All the tools and all the techniques and all the information and all the great stories that give you the key. And when you use the key and you unlock the door, what you find on the other side is everyone like you, living best lives, because we have the tools, we have the techniques, we feel pretty good about ourselves, and we are excited because curiosity is alive and well. That's my plan for us. And I really hope you like it, because I'm pretty keen on it, obviously. Okay, that's enough. Oh my gosh, I've almost done another hour. I am so sorry that this goes. I'm sorry it goes on. I'm not sorry it goes on. I'm trying to keep it down, and new things, Anyway, the weekend is upon us. Many things happening for all of us. Some of them difficult, some of them exciting, some of them just kind of, okay, we're good. We got this. Whatever they are, I hope you lean into them and make them your own, because we all have that ability. And if you are tired and if you feel overwhelmed, you know what you get to do? Rest, for heaven's sake. Be the wave. If you feel like you crashed, you probably did. After the crash, recede and restore. Do that for you. because we need you. You are part of this giant puzzle. You are one of the essential elements in this beautiful giant puzzle, and we need you. Okay? I mean that. All right, so you know the drill now. The drill is you be good to you because you deserve it. You hug your loved ones because they deserve it too. And you make a note to see me next week here on Tuesday and Thursday, and we will carry on. I hope you agree. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being part of this with me. Catch you next time.